Hey, 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 everybody. Welcome, welcome. Today I am going to have a very vulnerable share in just a moment. Y'all bear with me. I'm inviting our Instagram family to join us today. This will be the first time I'm inviting you all in, but today's reading is going to be a little bit different. I'm starting off with a bit of a vulnerable share because this whole journey is ironically um, mirroring my life. So I'm going to share a little bit, but basically, welcome to a cold, rainy, dreary day in Southern California. Um, y'all keep California in your prayers. We've had a lot of damage and a lot of, it's just been really tragic what's going on here with this weather. We appreciate the rain because Lord knows we could use it, but my goodness, the damage has been overwhelming. So today, I am going to go a little bit into. Basically, I hit a wall, y'all, yesterday. I hit a wall, and here's what had happened. So, y'all know that 2.5 years ago, I packed up myself and my girls, and we got on a truck and moved all the way across the country. And I basically left a 30-year um, emotionally toxic marriage. And at the time, I had people help me pack, and we just threw everything in boxes and just moved across the country. And I felt like I was running for my life, honestly. And so when I got here, I just stuffed everything into a storage, and I really didn't have any interest in revisiting any of that stuff. And about a year and a half ago, I had to go back through it and downsize. And I gave away all my furniture to a woman who was in a domestic violence shelter as she was moving out. And so I was able to kind of go through some of it, but I just packed everything back up in my storage. And then over the last month, I had the good fortune of having to change my storage unit, which meant I had to go back through every single thing that was in there and literally place my hands on every memory, every item, every thing that represented the last 30 years of my life. And because I was under a time crunch, I wasn't really able to process through any of it emotionally. I just had to look at it, make a decision. Are we keeping it? Are we throwing it away? And if I'm keeping it, where are we putting it? And so this past week, I finished all of that. And I did not take into account the emotional toll that all of that have had taken on me. I'm even like feeling it now. My legs are shaking. Oh my God, your body keeps the score, family. It really, really does. So today's reading is about going. Are you on an emotional trip? And I had to face the fact that yes, this past week has been really trying for me, and going through my entire 30 years of my past and facing my life has been a bit traumatic. So I had to just I didn't really realize what was happening, honestly. I just noticed my body was reacting. I noticed that I was feeling the tension again in my neck and shoulders, and I was feeling the pain and all of that just kind of welling back up in me. And I had to just realize, hold on a second. This is your body keeps the score. Like all of the stuff that I had unearthed over the last few weeks in revisiting my life really brought all of that right back to the forefront of my mind. And I had to face what I had endured. And it was a little bit, it was tough. I had to even shed some tears about it, but I'm grateful for it. The irony, though, in all of this is that back in December, when God told me to revisit the self love lessons, which is the book that He wrote through me to help me learn to love me, He had me revisit the self love lessons. I'll show you a copy of it real quick. It's 7 lessons every woman must learn about herself and the power of womanhood. And in revisiting the self-love lessons, he wanted me to do it for me, but also he insisted that I share it and read it aloud to all of you so that we could all get some meat off the bone, right? Because these lessons are paramount for us as women specifically, but it's a people issue, obviously, but in particular for us as women, we get to learn a whole new way of living, and the way that we balance life in womanhood, the way that we teach womanhood down through the generations is a toxic way of living. We have taught each other that we have to keep running, we have to keep moving, we have to keep going. We don't get to rest, we don't get to sleep. We get to just keep giving. Even if your cup is empty, you must continue to give. And that's the message of womanhood. That's the message we pass down to our girls. And it's the message that I've been living. And so it caught up with me yesterday. And I feel like I was, I don't know if you've ever felt this, but sometimes I feel like I'm pushing a brick wall. Like you just keep pushing and you're expending all your energy trying to get the wall to fall. But it's a brick wall, it's not going to fall. So the answer is to stop pushing and to find a smarter way to either get around it, get over it, get under it, but stop trying to push down that wall. So today's reading is on the power of faith, and it talks about what is an emotional trip. So I'm going to read it, and as I do, I'm laughing because the irony in it is that this particular time in my life, I hit this wall right when it was time to do this reading. And so I'm grateful to God for having me revisit the lessons. And I pray that it blesses you as much as it's blessing me. So take a moment, if you haven't already, to go to www.queeniebrown.com and download your copy of the self-love lessons. I'm trying to find the banner for you. Download your copy so that you can read along with me. And we are going to be reading from page 173. And today we're talking about the power of faith. And are you on an emotional trip? Okay. All right. So if your faith is the bridge that connects you to the thing that you are believing for, right? If you look back at the trials that you've lived throughout your life, the one thing they all have in common is that you've overcome them all. You came through it. You came through them and you're on the other side. You may have gotten a few battle scars, and there was undoubtedly wisdom gleaned from those experiences, but you made it through. That'll preach, right? The interesting thing about trials is while we're in it, we always feel as if the world will fall apart if things don't turn out the way we want them to. The truth is, regardless of the outcome, you will be okay. So if you knew in your knower that you would be okay in the end, would you still take the emotional trip? What is an emotional trip? Emotional trips begin with worrying, which includes meditating on the possible negative outcomes. Then you continue to nurse those negative thoughts over and over again in your mind. You imagine them, you see them in your mind's eye until you're actually feeling the effects of the negative thoughts. You continue to do this until you subconsciously bring them to pass. A dead giveaway that you're on a trip is when you notice your behavior change. The emotional trip causes you to become more anxious, touchy, and even angry. You may snap at people unnecessarily and perhaps even start a fight with someone. What's happening is your fear based thoughts are taking control of your emotions, and you are no longer in charge. The funny thing about an emotional trip is we seldom want to take them alone. If there's a willing or even an unwilling participant nearby, we will hijack them and take them hostage on the trip with us. I'm sorry, y'all. Emotional trips start off with lots of emotional baggage and seldom have pleasant memories. When you're on an emotional trip, you tend to hurt the people who are closest to you. You say and do things that are out of character. You take very little consideration to the inconveniences your trip poses on others. You use your emotions to manipulate and guilt people into doing exactly what you want. And they'll do it because they have no interest in taking your trip with you. Your emotional trips often make things far worse than they were had you just stayed in your right mind. I know you know what I mean. So I will ask you again, if you knew in your knower that everything would be okay in the end, why would you still insist on going on an emotional trip? Well, it's because we give place to fear-based thoughts rather than directing ourselves to have faith-based thoughts. Faith and fear are both beliefs, except they are direct reciprocals of one another. Faith and fear cannot exist in the same place. You either have faith that it will be okay, or you have fear that it won't. There is no in between. So, boy, um, as I said in the very beginning, I realized that I was on an emotional trip because I started to recognize my body reacting. Um, Fortunately, though, I have learned how to isolate myself in such a way, or maybe it's not isolation, maybe it's tucking things under the rug. We can perfect that. We tuck things in when we know that we're overwhelmed or we are have too much going on. And so I really do my best to not bleed into the other people in my life and in my world, and maybe that's not the most healthy thing, because I turn it inward, and many of you probably do the same. But the truth is that we got to trust God. We have to know that regardless of what it looks like, what it feels like, it's going to be okay. We made it through the last trial and the one before that and the one before that. The trauma, the drama, the abuse, the pain, the frustration, the suffering, the inadequacy, the negative thoughts, all of that, you made it through. So if you made it through, then you know that there's something that God intends for you to do while you're here. He intends for you to walk in a level of power. And so the trials are there to teach us something. They're there to reveal things to us, to reveal wisdom to us. And we get to learn the lessons so that we're prepared for the next one and that we can go through it more like a champ that we are, right? So I'm going to stop the reading here today. I appreciate you all listening in. Again, it was a bit of a vulnerable share, but I know that I'm not alone in this. We all tend to we have to face our lives sometimes, and we have to look at the things that we've endured and gone through and grown through and get the meat off the bone, get the lessons from it, get the wisdom from it so that we can finally bury it and put it away and not have to revisit it again. So I invite you to do that in your own life. And one of the ways to do that is to begin to learn how to hear from God, how to hear clearly and know that it's God. And so this coming Wednesday, or pardon me, this coming Thursday, I'm going to be hosting a workshop, and it's called the Quiet My Mind Workshop. And it's how we learn to quiet the mind. I did a video the other day, and I don't think I posted it on these platforms, but I will do that this afternoon. But God gave me a revelation, and He was basically saying that if this is our lives, we spend most of our time worrying about everything, worrying about our bodies, our minds, our kids, our money, our jobs, our relationships. And this is how we are living, and we are trying to hear His voice through the midst of this. And you can't hear God. You can't get peace. You can't get free if your mind and your heart are cluttered like this. And so what God needs us to learn how to do is get quiet, get still so that we have a clear channel and He can speak through us. And so there was a very detailed message that God gave me with regards to this on how to get quiet and get still. So please do make sure that you take a listen to that. But in the meantime, I want to invite you to join me at Quiet My Mind. Let me see. I put a banner up for you. Let me find it. Oh, did I save it? Oh Lord, I don't think I did. So do me a favor and just put invite me in the comments if you want to join us. I'll send you the link. It's absolutely free. Excuse me. And we're going to go into depth. It's going to be a 2-part experiential opportunity for you to actually go into an immersive opportunity to hear from God. And I promise it's going to change your life, and you're going to have results, immediate results. I promise you, you're going to be blown away by it. But what I'm going to do is teach you what God taught me, and the lessons that He shared with me in the Self-Love Lessons book, He wrote through me to me so that I can learn to love me. But it was the journey of being able to hear Him that helped me to write the book. And so He wants me to show you and share with you the steps He took me through. And I want to do that this coming Thursday. So please be sure to invite me in the comments, and I'll invite you over, send you a link so that you can RSVP, and I'll see you there. All right. God bless you. Thanks for watching today, and I'll see you tomorrow. Take good care. Bye.